What's going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers defensively are awful, right? And it's something that really needs to be addressed. I've talked about it, right? We need perimeter athleticism, two-way players, right? We need guys that can defend and hold their own out on the perimeter. We just don't have that. We don't have guys that can be the point of attack. We don't have guys that can consistently apply pressure to the opposing offense, right? Like Gabe Vincent was supposed to be that guy, and he's our second worst defensive player per rating, right? Like, you don't have athleticism in Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, even D'Angelo Russell, right? Like, these guys can't win foot races against their shadow, let alone against, opposing players. It's an absolute mess in that regard. And JJ Redick talked about this game against the Phoenix Suns and talked about how, hey, I thought we did some good things in the first half, right? Third quarter seemed to be a real problem for the Lakers. They just don't seem to have the ability to consistently put together 48 minutes. It's a year and a half now of that. And I said this in the live stream last night, right? Like, at this point, it's the personnel, right? We don't have guys that are consistent enough on a nightly basis, right? Guys have to essentially be perfect for us to win. Even Austin Reeves, yes, these last two games, he's been much better, but it's really been a tale of two halves for him. He's had a good first half, bad second half, good first half, bad second half, right? And again, it's the lack of consistency. D'Lo, Rui, these guys are just kind of no-shows more often than not. Austin Reeves, again, it's game to game, and now it's becoming half to half. And it's just, I don't know how you find that level of consistency with the roster we currently have, right? And now even JJ Redick is kind of solidifying that and backing that up in regards to just the personnel. And he talks about, like, we don't really have the personnel as far as the defensive scheming that we want to do. And, you got to kind of try to figure it out in the meantime. I hope that that's kind of a call to Rob Pelinka. Like, hey, Rob, it'd be nice if you go get me those guys. So obviously, look, offensively, I can do the schemes, I can do the things that we need, but defensively, I don't have the personnel. And again, we keep talking about the effort, right? These guys don't have effort. These guys don't have this. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that these guys aren't showing up. I just think that they're not good enough. I think that that's what, again, you have a large enough sample size to know, right? Last season, all season, they just were inconsistent, tale of two half teams, right? First, it was the first half they struggled, picked it up in the second, then it flip-flopped to they were really good in the second half, or in the first half, but terrible in the second half, right? And then lo and behold, you run into Denver, and what happens? Tale of two halves, right? First half, Lakers look good. They'd sweep Denver if they ended up being done at halftime. It doesn't work that way. Right? And then we go into the second half, and they weren't able to maintain. They weren't able to continue to give the effort that we saw. They can't put two halves together because they don't have the athleticism, the consistency, the shooting, all of that. And that's the thing, right? When the offense isn't falling, most teams have athleticism, have defense, right? They can be those teams that can, at least affect the game in other manners and hope that the offense starts to kick in a little bit, or at least keep it within striking range for their stars to close out and win those games. Lakers just don't have that. They don't have the athleticism. They don't have the guys that can regularly apply that pressure on a nightly basis. So here's what JJ Redick said. He said, I would say, if you think about being disruptive, I think it starts there. Some of it is personnel based. We don't necessarily have a ton of guys that can go and pick up full court. But teams are trying to disrupt what we do, just like we're trying to disrupt what other teams are doing. And whether that's the screening action of the DHOs, whatever it may be, we need to do and be better there. We need to better execute the game plans and look sometimes against a team like this or a player like Jokic. You can game plan all you want, but great players are gonna be great sometimes. Their three guys are great tonight, and Jokic was great the other night. It also wasn't just Jokic, right? Michael Porter Jr. turned into prime Steph Curry. Jamal Murray plays like he's the second coming of Michael Jordan, right? But again, like he says, we don't have the personnel to pick up, 94 feet. We don't have the personnel to change game plans, at least on the defensive side. Obviously, offensively, we've seen different looks, different schemes, whatnot. But defensively, As soon as teams know how to attack it, that's it, right? As soon as the team figures it out, that's it. Because we don't have the personnel to go, okay, let's do this defensive scheme. Okay, let's do this defensive scheme. Okay, let's do this, right? Like, we just don't have that because you don't have the athletes. You don't have the guys that you can apply pressure consistently, right? Like, and that's a problem. That's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that is desperate at this point. Now, again, I don't want to trade just to do a trade. You can't, as much as we all want and need a trade, right? You can't go give up 2 firsts for like Cam Johnson, right? Like, he makes us better. He would help in that regard defensively, but him alone isn't going to solve all the issues, right? Jared Vanderbilt would help a lot just because he is that nonstop energy, but who knows when he's coming back, for one. And two, even when he gets back, how long is it until he actually gets back to being the Jared Vanderbilt we know and love? Right? Like you saw last year. He came back and it was like 10 games and he started to look like it, but he wasn't fully there. And then he ends up getting hurt again. Right? So like Jared Vanderbilt, because of how much ground he covers, helps in that regard. But the other way to do that is to get 2 or 3 players that can come in and apply that, right? Sticking with the Nets. If you can get a Dennis Schroeder and, a Dorian Finney-Smith, well, now you have that point of attack, constant pressure. Dennis Schroeder's a guy that can pick up 94 feet. Get a guy in a Dorian Finney-Smith that can defend essentially 1 through 4, can apply pressure, right? You can do different looks, different schemes, right? You can have different pressures. If a guy is, picking up, you can run different looks at him, and you have guys like Dennis Schroeder who can recover, who can get back, who can cover a little bit of ground, right? If we could get Jared Vanderbilt back, that's another guy that, again, he can cover. He can, you could switch him on KD, could put him on Bradley Beal. Okay, Devin Booker's going, okay, switch to Devin Booker, and then, go put this guy on him, right? Like, we need several defensive pieces. We need several pieces that can come in and kind of play that role, but still maintain the offense. Because the Lakers' offense has been good. They just, again, have inconsistent guys, right? People ask, like, why do you want a guy like a Zach LaVine so bad? Right? Like Zach LaVine, Lakers are top 4 offensively. Like, why do you need it? Because it's about the consistency, right? Like, Zach LaVine is a guy that takes pressure off of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now they don't have to score, 65 points a game collectively for us to have a chance to win, right? Like, that's the problem. And Zach LaVine gives you the athleticism, can help with playmaking, rebounding. He can be the point of attack because he has the athleticism. He immediately would be our 3rd best defensive player on this team right now per rating. Like, that's a guy that doesn't even seem, that tells you how bad our defensive units are, right? Like, but again, if you can get him and then a Dorian Finney-Smith, right now, again, you have that athleticism, you have that switchability, you have that versatility, you have some size, you have some length, you have those different things. Or again, you stick to the Nets trade. Can you get a Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Spencer Dinwiddie with like a Day'Ron Sharpe, right? Can you get those 4 guys? At that point, give up whatever you have to. Trade both first, give a pick swap. You want the seconds? Here you go. Because at that point, now you have a better balance offensively and defensively. Now you have Dennis Schroeder, who could be that point of attack athletic guard that can pick up. You have Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson that can, again, defend 1 through 4, right? And then you add that to Anthony Davis. You add that to LeBron James, right? Like, you even just like a Dennis Schroeder and Dorian Finney-Smith would do wonders, right? Because now your least athletic player on the court is Austin Reeves, and now he doesn't have to defend the 1st or 2nd best player. Now he's defending, the 3rd or 4th best player, right? Like, everything changes, and now pecking orders go down, right? And especially if a guy like Dennis Schroeder can continue to shoot the way that he's been shooting this season. If he can maintain that, then that would be huge, because now you got what you're looking for Gabe Vincent to be. A guy that can knock down the 3 ball with a level of consistency on top of being that point of attack and being able to defend and apply pressure, full court even at times, right? Like, get a guy like a Dorian Finney-Smith. He's shooting like 41% from 3-point range on like 5 or 6 attempts, right? Like, that's a guy that, again, he can shoot on volume, knock it down at an efficient clip, but also pick up the best player on the other team and defend, right? Like, I'd much rather have a Dorian Finney-Smith on Kevin Durant than Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura, right? Like, they're just getting torched, right? Like, so now if you could have Dennis Schroeder on say, a Devin Booker, and you could have a Dorian Finney-Smith now on a Kevin Durant, right? It's better matchup-wise, right? You're never going to stop Kevin Durant. You're never going to stop Bradley Beal. You're never going to stop Devin Booker, but you can apply enough pressure to slow them down, try to get them down to their averages, right? So, instead of Kevin Durant giving you 25 points on 12 shots, right? Like, he can give you 25 points on maybe 17 shots, right? Or 16 shots. That's the difference between you winning or losing the game, right? If you can get these guys below their average. We need that versatile two-way players, and the Nets have the answer. Otherwise, you need that just giant ceiling raiser in a guy like a Zach LaVine. That's why I'm so adamant about a guy like Zach LaVine. He's that big ceiling raiser. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Disagree with my points? What did you think of JJ Redick and what he said about the personnel? I'm hoping this is kind of like a, hey, Rob, like, can you get something done? Obviously, again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Rob, based on reports, has been very active in trying to acquire trades, but trades take two sides, right? Like, I'd love if Rob Pelinka could pick up the phone and be like, hey, we're going to give you this for this, and then hang up, and then the deal's done. It doesn't work that way, right? And no one wants to help the Lakers. No team wants to be the team that basically saves the Lakers. That's something else we got to keep in mind as well. But anyway, again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.